Hello and welcome to IMTS 2022. Thank you all for joining us. I sometimes like to be Captain Obvious. However, as you can see, we are on the Matsura booth with my buddy Yuto and my buddy David. And we're going to talk about Matsura as a whole, starting with the birthplace in Japan that's been around so long. So Yuto, thank you so much for being here. And let's talk about the birthplace, Matsura, these leaders in pallet chain systems and precision, shall we?
Okay, so it's my pleasure to be here. And Matsura is a family-owned company. Actually, I'm the fourth generation. So my father is the current president, and we are based in Fukui, Japan. It's like in the middle of Japan island. So, and we started in 1935, which is my great-grandfather's foundation. So we've been actually in this industry. We actually started with a lathe, and we step up to a machining center around 1970s, and we built very first vertical machining center. That's what we did, and also we've been developing some new technology like ultra high speed spindles, and also pallet system is also one of our development, which is built in 1990s, which is around time I was born. So my grandfather's idea was, so at that time, the Japan people work from Monday to Saturday. So Saturday is not off. So, but the government said, hey, we should take a Saturday off. We should stay at home. And that's everyone is scared of this idea because they cannot work even they want to. So my grandfather think maybe we should have a machine which can run unmanned whole weekend. So that's how we got Mount 72. And this is a long seller for us. It's been 30 years, and I'm really glad to show these machines here now.
Well, before we move on to North America, Yuto, I just have to know,
Yeah.
Third generation, born and raised, you have to be so proud of these babies that you see around you, and you must live, breathe, and eat Matsura at this point, right?
Yeah, it's because I'm the fourth generation, so I don't know all the history though. But it's so amazing to know what we did and how we born. And it's nice to see people in the United States love our machines. It's such an honor to other owner families. So
they definitely love it, and they love it so much that occasionally you'll see even a pink one running around from time to time. So David, let's talk more about North America now. I know that you've got such a massive load on your shoulders with all the machines and the popularity and this precision. And you and I have talked a ton with so many satisfied customers here in the US. Let's talk about where you started here and the growth and the potential that you see moving forward here in North America.
Well, North America is such an important marketplace to us. It really is the biggest marketplace in the world. It's the biggest opportunities are here in the land of opportunity. So a big focus for us. And now for the last 10 years that Matsura USA really is in charge of our future and looking out, we're looking at our customers' needs. It's all about what the customer needs. As Yuto said, we've been building palletized 5-axis machines for 30 years really in advance of what the customer's needs were. So now we're so proud to be here today offering a solution that tackles the two biggest problems our customers are having, which is labor and delivery, right? Delivering parts. This has been a tough year supply chain wise. So the ability to run unmanned in these long hours and to be able to do it during a time of difficulty finding employees, we're proud of it. And by the way, let me welcome you to IMTS 2022 because we're all happy to be here. This is our industry's big show. I couldn't be more thrilled. Some people chose not to come, shame on them. We're here to support our customers and our distributors, and we're so happy. We couldn't be more happy to be here.
We're grateful to be here as well, David. And I know you kind of touched on this just now, but I just want to reiterate for the audience that's watching as well. It's been 4 years. There's a lot of technology that happens in 4 years' time.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And we're here today and we look around, there are people everywhere. We get to live stream for the unfortunate ones who don't get to be here. But why did you choose to take this opportunity? I see so many machines. We're introducing additive manufacturing as well today. We're going to talk about that in a bit. What was the reasoning behind, you know what, we're going to invest in the U.S. economy, we're going to invest in U.S. manufacturing. Yuto flew all the way over from Japan to be a part of this as well. We know A&B is going on right now as well, but you've dedicated yourself to this show. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're displaying today 3 new models that we've never displayed before and 1 refreshed model. So it's important. I just had a customer show up this morning, one of the first customers to come into the booth, and that's what he said. He says, I come to the show to look at the latest technology, the latest thing. And he says, too many years have passed by, we have to be here. So the customer feels he has to be here, then I have to be here. It's important, right, to be here. So we're showing new models that have never been shown before. We're here to show new customers that have never been here before, right? The industry is still growing. So it's very important to us that we continue to support the industry. You know, we love our market, we love our customers like family, and we have to be here to support them.
So let's talk a little bit, because we're going to get in the technical details of all these machines, that precision,
yeah, I'm
those
holding
pallet
myself
chains,
back.
how many, tool holder, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But let's talk about from a broader view, because there's a massive reshoring initiative going on right now.
Right.
And everyone's buzzword, you hear it, automation, automation, automation. And
Right.
people get confused sometimes about, well, when I see this pallet change, that means I must have 100,000 jobs I need to do, or 100,000 pieces in a job that I need to do.
No,
But you guys
no.
have created the environment, which is genius by you guys in Japan, to allow someone to have a batch size of 1 if
Yeah.
they want to, and still run lights out. Can we talk a little bit about just the automation side of things and the reshoring and reducing that overall labor skills gap that we're talking about right now?
Yeah, so you know, our specialty really is that low volume, high mix of part numbers. What's important is that we can keep the tools in the machine, we can keep the fixtures in the machine. That reduces the number of talented setup people that you have. The part stays set up in the machine, but like you said, you only need to build 2 of them this week, 5 of them this month, right? Gives you the flexibility to keep that machine running 24 hours a day, running a wide variety of parts without having to set up and tear down the machine. It's all about spindle utilization. We want that spindle to be cutting parts as many hours out of every day as possible, right? So the difficulty finding skilled labor or finding any labor, these solutions keep the wheels of America industry running, right? So that's the reason we're here. That's our wheelhouse. I don't know what else you were
No,
asking
that's good, because
specifically.
I have a couple of questions for Yuto as well.
You
So that
bet.
was a solid answer, and I appreciate that. Now, again, we're going to go into the details of precision and of quality when we talk about each of these machines, but coming from the family, seeing these things here, how much does quality and precision matter from the Japanese mindset of your family?
Well, I think there's no single answer, but I think that's like how we survive in this industry. So, because we are not a big manufacturer, we are not like manufacturing a lot of machines with a cheaper price. So, actually, that makes us like our position right now. So, but I'm very proud of that. Like we focus on this precision because everyone loves precision, no? So, I'm very proud of our machines, and it's very important to sell our machine with confidence, and that is I think the key is quality. So that's what I think.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And just to kind of emphasize that precision a bit more, which I'm sure you know already, because we are all talking automation and that buzzword, some people will walk into their shop after a weekend and have a bunch of scrapped parts, and they go, well, that's not automation. How do we automate in an effective way?
Right.
Is by having the precision that Japanese people in Matsura care about so much. And maybe we add some sort of measuring device to go along with it, but knowing that I maybe only need to measure 1 out of 20 because that precision is there. That's where really I think the basis and heart and soul comes from at Matsura, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so, because automation and the quality, used to be it's very difficult to keep two things best, but now it's a time to think about automation. There has to be quality. So, and I think that's the kind of our design philosophy. So if we want to make a very great quality parts, and it has to be unmanned. So, and I really love people use our machines in very effective way. That's exactly what we designed, what we thought about it.
I agree. And David, to close this one out before we move on to Paul with the technology, just a couple-minute answer. We're going to talk about the successful customers that you and I have visited.
Yeah.
And I just want to pull on the heartstrings of the audience watching right now. How good does it make us feel when we get this feedback from these customers going, there was something I could not do before, or I was having a real struggle making money, but now I can run a third shift and my people can go home at night. All of these stories come in, right?
Yeah. You know, it's a little cliche to say that we've helped a lot of people build their business and make a lot of money. Making money's good, right? We all like that. But we've had some customers that you know well, Tony, that it's the quality of life that we've brought. They literally said, we're not going to have our people work on the weekend, right? We're having them work overtime. We want them to have a work-life balance and a quality of life, but it's still so important. We have to make a profit. Right? So this allows them to be able to do that. And they're doing it successfully, and I'm watching these business owners, their employees, and their families flourish. You know, Katsu and Yuto, they always say that every time one of these machines leaves the factory, it's like a child leaving the factory. And the customer is adopting a Matsura, like a Matsura baby, right? And we really prefer to sell them to good families, right? So we look at our customers as good families, good owners, good citizens out there, and so it really does. We take pride in what we do and in our customers' achievements. So I'm glad you asked that.
I'm glad you answered it so thoroughly as well. So I know the folks out there want to learn more about the technology that's going on this booth. I know Paul is waiting in the wings for everyone who's watching right now. This is my friend Yuto. This is my buddy David. Very well done, my friends. Now let's go over to Paul.
Wow, what a great start to this Matsura live stream. Now coming up throughout the hour, we're going to be looking at the MAM technologies, also the new MX420. But for now, we're going to be talking about a partnership and also some incredible technology. I was going to begin to describe it myself, but I thought I'd let Tom do that as he's the man. Tom, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, I'm Tom Houle. I'm the director of Lumex North America, and I'm responsible for our additive subtractive line of equipment.
Okay, now what is the Lumex? Well, let's find out. Can you just explain what this technology is, because it really is awe-inspiring.
You bet. It is a powder bed fusion additive machine with a subtractive machine layered on top of it. So in one platform we sinter and laser melt material together and then actually machine it to finish shape, finish surface dimensions, and fine tolerances.
Okay, so we're going to look at some applications shortly. If you've got any questions about this technology or anything that we're talking about here on the Matsura stand, then of course put them on whatever social platform you're on and we'll answer those. Yeah, Tom, firstly, let's look at this application and talk us through how the machine has actually delivered this part.
Sure. So this is a sample part. Both of these parts were built on our machine. On the right-hand side, the machining was turned off, and on the left-hand side, the machining was left on. So we do every 20 thousandths of an inch, we machine to final dimensions. So deep pockets, deep holes, outside surfaces, outside corners are all machined within the same platform. So you can transfer these parts either to a finished CNC machine or use them right out of the machine, which is one of the critical features of why we want to bring the Lumex.
Okay, so who would use this sort of technology then, Tom? Let's talk about where you've put these machines, because I mean this one here is actually not a machine, and the reason being, when you make them, you sell them. So we've obviously got what is a cardboard version here. Is that correct?
That is correct. It's a mock-up. It demonstrates all the capabilities of the machine, but obviously not the real machine. Typical users are mold makers, people who want to implement not only additive but conformal cooling, integrated venting. People who control design of the parts, design of the molds is a really big application for us and where most of our customers are using it. And then also for time to market improvements, they can now build their development molds, unit molds, book molds, whatever they want to call them in the product development field. They can get those actual molded parts quicker using our technology.
Is it fair to say this is for parts that really can't be made any other way?
Yes, good way to describe it, especially when you have a conformal cooling or integrated venting. It's the only way to do that is additively.
Okay, tell us about the materials as well that can be used and how you may go from one to the other, and some of the challenges, and also some of the highlights and features.
Sure. So most of our materials are non-reactive materials, so tool steels that can be with high chromium content, almost like stainless. We also have two versions of stainless, really for parts and applications that have good weldability, good repair.
Okay, now we're going to have a look at some more of these parts shortly. We're also going to meet a couple of professors. Tom, can you explain the relationship you have with the Purdue University, because we're going to meet those guys in a minute.
Yeah, so this is breaking news. We're proud to announce that we've developed a partnership with Purdue University, one of the greatest engineering schools in the U.S., and they're using our machines, two of them, one for critical materials or reactive materials. Because that market is so intense on material validations, Purdue has taken on the responsibility to bring those types of materials using additive subtractive AM to market, and they've selected our machine to do that. We're very excited to partner with them, and we see great things.
Okay, people should visit you at the show, shouldn't they? Who should be actually visiting this area to talk to you?
Anybody who's interested in AM, but really people who see the future. Our machine allows manufacturing without people involvement, so it's a lights out, true 24/7 manufacturing work cell.
Because there's a lot of additive machines, there's also a lot of subtractive machines, but having one together is a real leap in technology, isn't it?
Yeah, we want to use every part produced out of our machine directly into the final application. No post-processing.
No post-process, great stuff. Great to meet you, Tom. Come and see Tom at IMTS. Now, I'm going to meet two gentlemen, two professors. Now, firstly, if you could just introduce yourself and tell us about the Purdue University.
Sure, my name is Michael Seeley. I'm an associate professor in mechanical engineering at Purdue. I've been there for about a year now.
And yourself?
I'm AJ Malshi. I'm distinguished professor at the School of Mechanical Engineering, and I've been in the manufacturing collectively probably about 40 years. So I'm super excited about this partnership.
Okay, yeah, and in your words, talk us through your involvement in the partnership with Matsuura and the Lumex technology and what it does for you.
Sure. So I've been involved with Matsura and the Lumex system since about 2016. And it's something where it's a very important strategic partnership with my transition to Purdue, because Purdue is committed to investing in what we call convergent manufacturing, which builds upon this application space of combining additive and subtractive manufacturing. And what makes it so unique or so special is the fact that we can do this for any critical material like magnesium or titanium or aluminum. And so it really maximizes our research potential.
Okay, can we just get the camera on some of these parts as well here? Perhaps, talk to us about how this technology would actually create something like this, and the elements of it.
Sure. So the way it works is you start with a powder bed fusion process, and it's very standard AM process. But what's unique about it is the fact that it now can come in and machine typically every 10 layers. And so that's a unique capability that you don't really see in powder bed fusion.
Okay, so you're layering 10 layers and then you're coming in and machining after that, yeah?
Correct. And so that enables you to have machine surface finishes anywhere throughout the build volume.
Okay, now does that differ with the different materials that you're layering?
So typically no. I mean, you can do a standard machining process, but the ability to do this on aluminum versus one type of steel versus another type of steel may change your machining strategy some. But for the most part, the fact that you can do it anywhere on internal features or external features really gives you the competitive advantage.
Okay, and how would you best describe what the Lumex does that other machines can't?
So Lumex machine really brings a very unique capability to manufacture critical materials. And when I meant critical materials, that as you would find out in manufacturing, we are more and more using high performance material, titaniums, magnesiums, berylliums, aluminum, and these are all critical materials in short supply, so we need to use those resources very carefully. And Lumex machine allows critical materials and non-critical materials to add, subtract, and phase transform. So if I may just add that what Dr. Seeley said, we're looking at convergent manufacturing. And what is it? Basically, we are trying to combine multi-materials, multi-processes, along with smart digital manufacturing. Now what that does is that typically you would hear word common design for manufacturing. We are really going to now manufacturing for design. That means we would have so unlimited space that we can achieve functionalities, resilience, and sustainability all in one design. And that is convergence.
Exciting, very exciting. Perhaps you could just tell us maybe a project to finalise here that you have done on the actual machine that you don't think you could have done without the Lumex.
Sure. So one of the projects is geared towards a biodegradable medical device made out of magnesium. And so one of the unique capabilities is the fact that we can do machining on something like a biodegradable magnesium implant for things like fracture fixation. And so this is the only machine in the entire world capable of being able to print using powder bed fusion with machining to achieve a biodegradable implant where you can really control how fast or slow that device degrades for any patient.
Wow, what technology. I'm going to be going over to Tony very soon. And before we do, we've just got one gentleman, I think, that would like to come and just jump in on the stream.
I wanted to actually, Tim, come on in. So I want to introduce you to Tim, but before that I want to say that Purdue has a long tradition in manufacturing, as long probably as Lumex. So companies with the longest tradition in machining and manufacturing, we call ourselves boiler makers. And I would like to introduce you to a fellow boiler maker.
So a fellow Boilermaker. Tim, introduce yourself.
Hi guys, I'm Tim Schirnbaum. I'm the Chief Technology Officer here at AMT, host and producer of the IMTS for 2022.
Good stuff. It's been a good show so far. It's only been on a few hours, but the floors are busy.
Yeah, very busy, busier than we expected on rainy Mondays. That's always good news. And I would like to extend my congratulations and appreciation for Matsura and the announcements that's happening here, not only as an exhibitor, but also for our industry at large.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much. Yeah, more comments and questions, get them in. We've got a comment. Nice. Alan Scrooby, Chief Technical Director at Ragnar Rock Technologies on LinkedIn. Good to see you're watching. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. Coming up in the stream, we're also going to be looking at the MX420 and other technologies. But in the meantime, I'm going to pass you over to Tony, who's at he's at the MAM with Leo.
Welcome to the machining side of things on the MAM 72 with my buddy Leo. We're going to talk accuracy, precision, kind of a synonym of that. We're going to talk pallet change. We're going to talk about how this is going to help people run through the nights. We're even going to bring in a successful customer that invested in this at a very young age. So I'm excited to talk about all of this, but Leo is the expert. I always tell you guys, I bring the experts along because it's not me for sure. Leo, let's talk about the MAM 72 and some of the benefits for everyone watching out there that's learning about, okay, well, we got to get in automation, we got to get in the lights out machining, and we got to have accurate parts that come off of the machine. Let's talk about that.
Absolutely. So yeah, basically a pallet changer gives you the ability to have all your setups left in the machine. You know, you've got 15 pallets on this machine in particular. So you basically set your job up, leave the tools in the tool magazine, and basically when your customer calls, says they need parts, your setup's done. That's the idea.
So when it comes to pallet change, there's a common theme that goes, well, automation, I got to have hundreds of parts, right? Not the case. You can actually set this up for small batch sizes. How does that actually work?
That's actually kind of the best feature of this, is that flexibility that it gives you. You can just, you know, if you have work holding that's, modular work holding, your setups are done. Anything you want to put in there it's basically ready to go. That's the idea. Flexibility is the key. The pallet scheduling software is simple. Our machines with the pallet changers, it's integrated. It's not, there's nothing too complicated about it. It's all ready to go, integrated tightly, and simple. Simplicity, flexibility, that high mix, low volume, that's kind of our bread and butter.
High mix, low volume, flexibility, you nailed it. It's one of my favorite words to use when we talk about Matsura, flexibility. And in the industry we're in, we have to be that way. Batch sizes continue to get reduced. Now we're looking at the pallet change here. When we talk about, okay, maybe I have one job, maybe I have 5 jobs, maybe I've maxed out the pallets on here. Regardless, in order to support this many opportunities and low batches, we have to have either redundant tooling or a big tool holder. So let's talk a little bit about that aspect of the machine.
Yeah, absolutely. 330 tools on this machine, up to 530 depending, but this particular one has 330. And that's the idea. You've got a bunch of pallets, you need a bunch of tools. So you've got a bunch of different jobs typically set up in your pallet changer. So you're going to need all the tools for all those jobs, plus redundant tools. That's the thing. If you've got a broken tool overnight, it needs to be able to continue to do work and not just stop. You know, you got to be able to continue, move on to the next pallet, continue running what you can. Even if you broke a tool, it's got to be able to continue running what it can run without you doing anything. That's the idea. That's the key. So,
and automation as a whole, we all think, well, I need to do it. I have to do it. It's how we compete on a global scale, right? But there's so many different intricacies that go into it. So we've talked about pallet change and we've talked about the tools that go into it. but it can be coolant, it can be the cobots or robots that go into. I've seen some great setups with your partners over at Productivity that are utilizing the measuring systems to go along with it. But in combination with being able to leave and not be scared to come back to the office the next day and find 4 or 5 parts that are scrapped, that's where precision comes in. Let's talk about precision in the 5-axis world and the difference between when I'm right on a part or when I'm several inches away from the part and how that actually works.
Yeah, so basically you've got to have a really accurate machine. Typically the rotary, tilt and rotary axis have to be very accurate because like you said, you're machining a part right down on the center of the table. That's one thing, but once you get way out here, those inaccuracies magnify. So you really have to start with a very accurate machine and your parts are just going to come out better. Simple as that. And then the 5-axis thing, the fewer times you can chuck up the part, the better off you are. Every time you handle a part, that's inaccuracies that you're adding into the part. So you really do have to grab it once, and that's it. Hold on to it once, do as much as you can, and then sure, there'll be a second op typically, but the fewer ops you can do, the better off you are all the time.
Gosh, I hope that's not oversighted for anyone watching right now. The fewer amount of setups you can do, reducing the possibility of user or operator error, and we're really getting into that fine-tuning of the precision. Now, Leo, you're the star of today, and I like when you're the star, but one of my favorite stories that comes from Matsura is the fact that a company was able to do the same amount of working hours in 9 months that they were able to do in 5 years based on their ability to keep this thing running through the night. Stories like that happen all the time with Matsura, don't they?
Absolutely. We hear that over and over again, and it's amazing. We love hearing that stuff. Getting to customers and seeing what they've been able to do is always an awesome learning experience for us. Even though we drink the Kool-Aid, of course, but it's you're getting out to customers and seeing what they're putting, all the work they're putting in, and they teach us stuff all the time about really how this is done. It's interesting stuff.
Yeah, I agree. Another one of my favorite stories is when the customers can actually go home to their families on weekends or nights because they're not running those shifts, and they're still getting equal, if not more, workout in doing that. And as a part of this story, I would love to welcome our friend Gordon from KCS onto the show as well. Gordon, thank you so much, my friend. Leo, you have been amazing. These parts behind me actually come from KCS as well. Special thanks to them. I'm going to give a quick preview, Gordon, because I've been into your facility, but I'm going to let you do all the fine-tuning to this story. We're talking about a young man, Kyle, who believed in himself, who believed in 5-axis machining, that didn't really want to start in the 3-axis world, knew the capability of his intelligence and what a Matsura could do at 24 years old, a real manufacturing millennial that jumped into it right away. You partnered with him. Let's hear more about the KCS story.
Well, you pretty much nailed it there. Kyle Shapinski, sharp young guy, got a real head for programming, just a gift for it. And immediately saw the value of 5-axis machine, and actually it goes deeper than that. He enjoys the challenge. Somebody says this can't be done or that can't be done or it's too hard, Kyle's all over it. And so he's grown his shop. He went from a small presence over the years, 11 years now, to really doubling the size of the shop. Well, quadrupling. We doubled the size of where we are, and so there you have it. We got into 5-axis machining was our bread and butter, but got into the Matsura machines when we're a small company, so we look for things, it's got to be a strategic purchase. It's got to be something that fits what we're doing, what our customers want from us, and then is going to grow as we grow. And so Kyle and the team did their homework and looked around pretty good, settled on Matsura, and it's been Matsura machines have worked out very well for us. We've just picked up our 3rd machine, and couldn't say enough good things. So, you mentioned these parts here. I'd like to tell you about them.
Let's talk about a little bit about these parts. We got our cameraman zoomed in for the audience right now. Let's talk about it.
Okay. Well, first, let me back up and talk. Delighted to be here. Matsura would invite us to, feature our parts and us here, but this story really underscores the correctness of the decision that Kyle and the team made, and with regard to Matsura and the capabilities of these machines. I mean, we couldn't be, more pleased with the company and the products and the machines. But to these parts, so we had a brilliant engineering firm designed a system for sailboats for the Grand Prix of sailboats. This is very high-end, world-class racing sailboats. And this company designed this system, which is innovative and nothing like this had ever been made before. It's a hydraulic system that's computer controlled, and it controls virtually every aspect of performance of the boat, everything. And the tolerances are very, very tight, and everything was new. It hadn't been done before. It was so complex, they didn't have the capability to machine it in-house. And they were having trouble finding anyone who would take on the job. So they found Kyle. They came to us, and Kyle loves it. The team loves it. They were quickly able to do the programming and move from prototype to production, and the timeline, the deadline was very, 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 very tight. Very tight. Well, at the same time, we had a new Matsura MC520 PC4 machine that had just been set up, and it was brand new to us. And Kyle and Matsura, we worked together to get that machine up and running. This was the first job that was put on that machine, and the deadline and everything was so tight that machine ran for 147 straight hours. The last part was perfect, just like the first. The system worked. We got everything to the customer in time. They got them into the sailboats in time. Everything worked, and it was perfect. And we did our end. Kyle did the programming end. Our workers, the guys did their end. But at the end of the day, it came down to a brand new, untested machine from Matsura that we set up, and it knocked it out of the park. And so that says a whole lot about the reliability, the accuracy, and just how the machine works. It's an excellent, excellent machine.
For the audience watching, because that was a lot of information, I want you to say that number just one more time, because it is so good. The Matsura team got that machine into you, got it up and running within a real short amount of time, right? A day or two, I believe. Right. And then as soon as you push that button go, it was how many hours that ran straight without any interruption or error?
That machine, the MX520 PC4 palletized, that ran for 147 straight hours. We just hit the button and let it rock. Keep it loaded.
I love it. And we're going to go over to Paul and our buddy Fernando in just a minute. But one last thing I want to say, because KCS joining us on camera, we're very grateful for that as well. And Kyle is such an amazing person. I want to give you the opportunity to just let the people out there know if they want to work with KCS, where they can find you, because you're also putting stuff on the moon, engraving your logo in a boot so you can have your logo on the moon too, right?
That's what we'd like to do. We similar kind of situation. We got a call from a supplier to NASA for their spacesuits for the Artemis program. And they were having difficulty producing the parts. We were able to get them produced, and so we've been now for some time making parts for the new spacesuit, the prototype spacesuits. And so the joke around the shop is that we want to make the boots and put our logo on the bottom. But no, companies can find us www.kcsams.com, and we're a small company. We work hard. We thrive on challenge, and we're looking for any challenges that companies either can't do or don't want to do, and want a cost-effective, good, smart solution that'll work for them and their success. That's what we're there for. KCS Advanced Machining Services. Thank you, my friend.
Very well done. Let's send it now over to our friends Paul and Fernando. Good friend of mine. Tune in.
People tell me I can tell you. We are live here in front of the MX420. I've been hearing in my ear for the last 5 minutes. We're coming to you shortly, Paul. We're coming to you shortly. Tony loves the story, and so do we. And that really was, or is, a fantastic story. So I'm at the MX420. If you've got any comments about, or any questions about the technologies that we're looking at, please put them in the social channel that you're watching on. Fernando, introduce yourself.
Certainly. My name is Fernando Garcia, and I'm a regional sales manager for Matsura USA.
We've met before.
Yes.
You like MTD, don't you?
I really do. MTD brings something different to our audience, and I think what's the most important part of it is the fact that it's a customer's perspective. I think so often we listen to a salesman or a sales representative or company representative speak. It really gives the customer a voice and allows them to really explain why they made the decision that they made.
Good. This stream's not about us, it's about you, but thank you anyway. Let's talk about the MX420. Now, this is a fairly new model, isn't it, to the Matsuura range. Why have they introduced it?
Well, they introduced it because, as we had before, was the MX330 PC10, and with the MX330 PC10 platform, it's probably our second best-selling platform worldwide. But what we heard back from customers was we need a little bit more. We need a little bit more. And so what we did was we changed the volumetrics of the machine itself, and we allow the machine to, this was the previous work envelope before for the MX330, and now we're able to achieve this volumetric part dimensions on here, which is a 55% increase volumetrically over the MX330 PC10.
Okay, now the 330 has been so popular. Let's go and have a look in the machine as well, because there will be people that will be tuning into this that may, if you step this side, Fernando, that may not have seen the MX420 before and in fact know what it actually is. So can you explain what's happening in there?
Oh, absolutely. The MX420 is Matsuura's latest addition to the 5-axis platform. So it's a fully articulable 5-axis platform, and it comes married to a PC10, so you have the ability to run lights out. That's really what we're trying to achieve with the customer in looking at the fact that difficult to hire people, difficult to find people, so that's why we added that.
What are the challenges people face when it comes to 5-axis machining and unmanned running, and how do you solve them with this particular model?
Well, it is interesting because we do look at, sometimes we go and look at the mechanics of the machine and we understand the mechanics, and it's basically an articulating trunnion. But where the other challenges come from is the 30 years of automated manufacturing experience that Matsuura brings. There's a lot of other parts to it, right? There's coolant management, ship evacuation management, so many of those things. So it's not merely just a platform that was transitioned into automation, it's a platform that was designed with automation in mind, and therefore all the other features or the side components all work in conjunction to allow really someone to get lights out manufacturing.
And I always think that it's kind of right place, right time, isn't it, for this technology for you? Because I think that so many manufacturers are looking at their next steps. They're looking at how they can, reduce intervening in their manufacturing process, keep the machine running overnight. So you kind of introduced this, and not just this, the 330 and the 520 at the right time, didn't you?
We really did, and again, it's also about, it's not about replacing any particular person that works for your company. It's about allowing that person to do multiple things within your organization, but you need a foundation that has the stability, has the thermal capacity to maintain the accuracies that you're looking for over a longer period of time, and therefore gives you the confidence to walk away from the machine for a period of time.
If you've got any questions about unmanned running and some of those challenges that you might think you may face, then Fernando can obviously answer those. So put the comments or the questions on whichever page you're watching this on. And let's move this way again, because I want to just talk about what's evident here. In fact, I'll step this side so the camera can get in. What's evident here is there's lots of different components on this pallet system, isn't there? So what we're not seeing is a machine geared up, in this instance, for millions or thousands of the same parts, are we?
Really, it is. It allows you to be able to have a mix and match. Let's say you have a job that you know is a repeat job, but you don't want to break down the job. So this allows you to position that in one of the 10 pallets that's on there. And when an order comes in, you can fulfill that order in a quickly process. But it simply also allows you the ability to interchange the pallets and move work holding around from machine to machine.
And I've got to say, this is a really good way, the camera's looking at this now, of describing the capacity, isn't it? There's no better way than actually just illustrating it with what you've got there.
It really is. It's hard when you talk about inches, right? And you're talking about volumetric size of a particular part. This way, you're really able to explain to a customer the real difference between the platforms, and it really does help.
People might say, and I know we're going to look at a part in a minute, but I can't afford one of those. That's out of my league. It's not for me. It's for those big blue chip businesses. It's not the case, is it?
No, it really isn't. As a matter of fact, the majority of our customers are medium-sized shops, small to medium-sized shops, but they're looking in the right direction. They understand that in order for them to compete moving forward, that's what they need to do. They need to make this transition into automation. And again, without that basic platform that is stable, that's where the problems come in, right? You think you've got automation, but then you develop problems as you're going through it. That's really what Matsuura brings to the table.
Yeah. Now, if you've got any questions on the MX420, then get them to us now, and Fernando will answer them. Let's have a look at this part. Quite nice. Can you explain what's happening?
It's quite a unique part. It is a combination of additive and subtractive. It's not on the same platform. This was printed by an EOS system, but yet once the part was printed, and this is Inconel 718, once the part was printed, the part was then put into an MX330, where it was machined to the pieces that you see here, and you can see some of the cutaways, the different features, and the internal workings of the turbo itself. But it's just a really good example of what the future is, right? It's not all just subtractive. It is additive and subtractive and trying to work together on those platforms.
Yeah, I mean, what did the customer buy? So they actually bought an MX330, did they, as a result of this?
Correct. They bought an MX330 with the idea of tying it into their EOS system.
Okay, there is other MXs within the range. Could you maybe just, again, for our audience that may have known, describe how extensive this this product portfolio is?
Yeah, we built the platform so that it marries into other platforms as well, too. So we have an MX330, we have an MX520, and we have an MX850. And really, they're tied to one of our MAM systems. So the MX330, they share pallet configuration with the 35V, with the MAM 35V. The 520 shares the platform with the 52, which you just did an interview on moments ago. And so being able to have not a standalone machine, or possibly even a standalone machine, do your prototyping on that machine and then take the pallet and transfer the entire job onto another platform for production runs.
The control system that you have here, how easy and how clever is it to help you with unmanned running? How easy to program, and if there's an issue halfway through the night and one particular pallet can't run anymore, will it just go skip to the next one? What have you put in place in that area?
Absolutely. There are systems in place, and first off, Matsura provides all of the integration. So the integration portion, or the pallet management system, is also partly supported by Matsura. So it's not a third-party software company that we're working with. And there are things in place. For example, if you break a tool and you're using tool life management, you break a tool, the pallet, it knows the next job coming in, it does a tool check. If you don't have enough tools, instead of stopping, right, it's 10:30 and you're in bed and it stops, it simply moves to the next pallet. And so it will finish the jobs that it can based upon the information that the control is providing back to the pallet system.
Okay, we're going to go over to Tony very shortly, who's going to be looking at the MAM. Before we do that, I just want to ask you, IMTS, you enjoy it?
Oh, 100%. This is 30 years for me, and so I don't mean to date myself too much, but very excited to be back, and it's good to return to normal. It's really good.
Good stuff. Okay, there you have it. That's the MX420. Contact Matsura if you've got more details on that machine. I'm now going to pass you over to Tony, who is with Tyler Bond, and they're talking about a MAM product, amongst other things.
Doesn't this show just keep getting better and better and better? I mean, I think it does. Now we get to talk with Tyler Bondi, a good friend of mine, and we are on the MAM 72 here. As you can see, there's something really big in this pallet change, but I'm going to let Tyler describe what's going on specifically with this machine.
Yeah, thanks, Tony. So a lot of people think Matsura, they think small machines, small parts, but we actually make quite a few larger machines. So the MAM 7270V, it's not even our largest machine. We actually have a 108, so a 1 meter machine, but you can see by the work size, quite large. It's 500 millimeter pallet in there, so you can get quite a few parts even. You know, we advertise these yellow drums. I'm sure they talked about it before. It's not necessarily just a single part, but you have that much working space inside the machine. So a lot of the creative work holding you'll see throughout the show this week, it's all about ganging up as many parts as you can in there and really getting your productivity up on the machine. So.
Well, I see a little cheat code here for me that says 500 kg and 1,100 pounds. When I'm working with something that heavy, the Matsura has the strength and rigidity to move that part around still quite quickly as well, doesn't it?
Yes, yeah, and it's really cool too. So we've got a function on the machine that will actually wiggle the pallet during a tool change to figure out the weight of that, so that it'll maximize the rapid indexing speed, so it's not going to stress any of the components of the machine tool itself. The other thing, I don't know if any of the other guys touched on, but one thing that we really consider a lot in a lot of our machines, you'll notice, especially on a machine this large, we take a big consideration into the ergonomics. So you can see, you can step right inside of the machine. So when you're an operator running a machine all day long, You know, I've done it. I used to be a machinist. You'd lean in inside the machine, in and out of it all day long. Your knees would hurt, your back would hurt. You know, how nice would that be for setup, measuring parts, checking tools? I mean, it really makes a difference, right?
I've talked to some companies where exactly what you talked about with the ergonomics of everything, they've actually saved over $1 million on insurance alone from injuries being removed because of that ergonomics you're talking about.
Yeah, it's often overlooked. It's crazy. You know, I remember when I started at Matsura, and I think it was the MX520 was one of the first machines I ran, and I opened the door and I just had a huge smile on my face. I was like, geez, like, this is nice. And it's funny, during the show, I would do that all the time, and guys get in there, man, this is really nice. So definitely encourage you, if you're here, come on by, step right in, you know. Step right in, I guess, right?
So Matsura is known, obviously, and I've talked about it, I'm sure Paul has as well throughout this stream, known for the pallet change system. I mean, you guys are the leaders when it comes to that, right? And then what goes along with pallet change system is the ability to have tool redundancy, and those big magazines are so important because we're always running lights out, right?
Yep.
So when I see a big opportunity of this system here, what are my somewhat, it's not limitations because parts like this are typically going to have long run hours, but how many pallets can I get on a machine this size?
That's a great question. So why we've spec'd this machine like this, a 2-pallet, we actually have options, and what makes us nice on these MAM series, you can retrofit a pallet system on the machine. So right now it's just 2, but you could actually go up to 18, like a tower pallet like the 52V you saw earlier. You could even use 6 pallets. So maybe you got these bigger, like this mold component that's going to run for like 6 hours or even more. Maybe you don't need 18 pallets. So it's a little bit more flexible, and we don't shoehorn you into only one option.
But even with something as big as what I'm looking at here, you really can go up to 18 pallets for those people who do have a whole lot of massive parts, or even if we're doing, as we always say, low batches that allow us to do, but if they're all big, high mix, low volume, we're able to add, it's not just almost like a trunnion style, right? It's not like this one sort of is, but you can add up to 18. I didn't know that.
Yep, exactly. No, and the floor space it takes up is very minimal. That's one thing we take a lot of pride in. They're built in Japan. Real estate in Japan is even more expensive than it is somehow in the US, but you got to cram as much as you can in a small package. You know, you got to get that maximum output out of it.
I'm so glad you brought that up. And then if our camera guy can kind of pan out a little bit and look at this machine, if I look at the parts of this, I would imagine this machine, real estate wise, would be darn near doubled in order for me to have the ability to run parts like this, right? But as you said, until we can start stacking machines on top of each other, we're all fighting for real estate space. And a lot of people who are watching right now, they base their profitability on machine space per square foot of the building, along with the per part cost, right?
Yeah, that's kind of the new catchphrase, right? They're really looking at it that way. For a long time, it was more spindles is better, right? How many machines can we get in there because we could get people in front of them? Now you can't get that, right? So you got to get one machine and get the most out of it as possible. That's with the pallet changers, tool matrix. You know, I love it. Kyle from KCS said it, you know, it's the workforce multiplier, right?
Absolutely is. And I have one last thing because I want to pull on a little bit of the heartstrings because it always matters to me before we move on to Phil and Complete is, you remember when we went into Ross together? And they have so many of your machines, a 50% female workforce, but they were able to take that third shift, send them all home to spend time with their families and get more production out based on the Matsura machines that are there.
Yeah, so kind of like, not to go off on a tangent, but really to go off of that, really why the MAM became is really, it's a solution-based machine. So in Japan, back in the late 80s, early 90s, the government actually came in and mandated really a 5-day work week. It used to be 7, and the quality of life was horrible. So they had to figure out a way to basically Friday midday have your machine set up, run unmanned through the weekend, where you'd come in sometime Monday and the machine would still be running, making parts without people there to get the quality of life up. And Ross is like a testament to that.
Quality of life. Way to end off that segment. Now let's step over here, talk a little bit to Phil. Phil, how are you doing? Last time I saw you was at Selway with our friends over there, and you have a voice for pretty much whatever you want to do, my friend. So let's talk Complete, shall we?
Oh yeah, let's talk about it. I mean, this is technically our second date, is it not? I mean, that was our first date, Selway, and now this is pretty much our second date.
I'm not mad at that comparison, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, right? So how's everything going with you?
Everything is wonderful, wonderful. But because we all want to learn about this software, let's get into this software. Let's talk about how this really helps the customer, because you know so much about this and I'm ready to learn. I know the audience is as well.
Yeah, so I mean, CAMplete as a whole is a machine simulation verification software of your tool paths that you're spitting out from your different CAM solutions. My favorite part about this is, from a quoting standpoint, you can actually get a real-time study of the parts you're making. As well, on top of that, you're getting that nice warm and fuzzy that you're not going to crash your machine. You're not going to get the service department to come out and fix your machine. You're actually going to be able to push go late on a Friday night and come in Monday with a good part from there. I'm actually going to pass it over to Ivan. We have the one and only Ivan from CAMplete. He's now with Autodesk, but he is one that can really dive into the abilities of CAMplete and how it can add to what you are doing with your new Matsura machine, your old Matsura machine, or any other machine that you may purchase.
I absolutely love surprises, guys. I know you do too. So Ivan, this is really unprepared, but who cares? We can fly off the cuff anytime. So Ivan, how are you? Let's talk about it.
I'm doing awesome, thanks. Yeah, so CAMplete is a post-processing and simulation software, and it'll take data, toolpath data from all major CAM systems, post it for you, simulate it, make sure you're safe on your machine, and it does it all in one complete package.
So you are the reason why I feel so comfortable and confident going home to my family from the story we were just talking about at Ross. You're the reason why.
Exactly. You run it on here, put it on the machine, hit the go button, and head home to your family.
Man, it can't be that easy. I feel like there has to be more conversation of what's going on in this live stream, but when it is that easy and when you are that confident, it's easy to convey to the audience as well, to let them know, hey, come check it out. If you think this conversation was easy, try playing with this whole software yourself, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, with that being said, and talking to Ivan, we're now going to just head up to the front because we're coming close to the end of our live stream. We love the fact that Matsuura team was here, having us on the booth here at IMTS 2022. I hope you guys learned the importance of the automation of the pallet change, how it can help you with low batches, how it can help you continue to run through the night without having to worry thanks to the precision, the fact that they're supported by a family-owned company, talking with Yuto as well. And now we get to end this conversation with one of my favorite people at Matsuura, my buddy, David Hudson, just for a closing statement to invite you all to the booth and just say hi to these wonderful people here.
Yeah, thank you. We want to invite everybody in. We're welcoming, we're kind, we promise we'll treat you well. We're happy to be here again, as we said, right, for the big show. We want you to come attend. Please look for me. I would be glad to show you around the booth.
And now he's interviewing me as the final cut of this live stream. You see how good this man is? I love it. All right. Thank you all for watching. Join us anytime.